Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Lucid, and we are back in Mountain Arena, our anti-dogpile map, where we currently have our first real dogpile. Though it's not really a dogpile, it's more of a coalition against Mictlan. And let's take a look. We've got, it looks like a full-on novel coming in from Mictlan. Okay, I made a secret deal with Yomi this turn, basically granting him rights to the Niflheim region in exchange for friendship. The land has low value until it's site searched, and while I can kill his Dione army, my Jaguar warriors with army of giants, strength of giants hit for 37. I can't do it with what I have in the region, and especially with his high movement able to control the location of fighting. I risk losing the Saramatia region too without this deal. I think it's a win-win. He gets to grow to my size without attrition. I get an ally against the coalition, especially TNT, who I think is currently in a strong position to wear me down. Here are the terms. Mictlan to evaluate and seed the Niflheim 3x3 throne, the throne row 7 and 13, and the 3 provinces south of the Throne of Air. 16. We'll look at what all those are. Basically, he's gonna give him a lot of the stuff near Yomi or Niflheim. Yomi to end nap with TNT within the next 5 turns, and Mictlan, with Mictlan ceding the throne in 53 once the nap is ended. Okay. So Yomi's making a play here for thrones as well. And that can be beneficial to Mictlan to take some of the heat off of him. But we'll have to see exactly which throne this is. That might be thrones which improve your bless are a little painful to give up as Mictlan. Yomi to participate in an attempted overcast of Eternal Pyre with a split of its proceeds proportional to each party's contribution. That's a big deal, because right now one of the things Mictlan's worried about is all these fire gems being poured into TNT units. Peace agreement is a nap 3 that cannot be ended before turn 59, 12 turns from now, except in the case of a throne rush by either party, which seems unlikely. Parties to keep the arrangement secret. I'm not thrilled by what I have to storm Vanheim's capital. It'd be really nice to have some Ozelotls, but I think it's enough, especially since all his summoned blocker chaff is in the wrong place. He trapped them inside a fort. And I've got access to haste, body ethereal, which is really important for getting past the walls. You can just walk through them with body ethereal. Though I have way fewer turkey mages than I would have preferred. Too many were pulled away to other fronts. It could go horribly wrong. Vanheim may well have 30 air mages in there. He'll get to snipe some random commanders with Seeking Arrow again. He got another Rain Priest last turn. It's possible he hit a research target like Foul Vapors, if his pretender was recalled to cast it, or Wailing Winds via Communion. But also can't really afford to further delay, as I'm losing 1 cap-only mage a turn to Seeking Arrow, and I need Vanheim's income to stabilize myself. And his army, if it survives, to reinforce as I lose ground to TNT. So in we go. Also, horrors made are apparently horrible in Drain 3. Yeah, that's true. I really hope I counted correctly that TNT's main army does not have map move 2 provinces this turn. And we have a message from Lanka. So we're finally over 200 slaves a turn. Not sure how that compares to Mictlan at this point. Probably ahead, given he is fighting a coalition. We have 2 cauldrons of the Elven Halls on the Crystal Throne, hiding about 110 Rakshasa. We're hoping to bait an attack so we can seduce some lustful turkeys. The force we sent west should hopefully match his scout report from last turn, and it will appear like we're retreating from the throne. We've spent a bunch of time getting our blood and our... So this is really sneaky, by the way. I really like this play. He's basically taken troops that were out of the throne, or that were in his throne, moved them in a retreating path. Or he didn't actually do this. What he wants them to think, that he moved them in a retreating path, and when if Mictlan has a scout in that province, he'll see, oh my god, there were 200 units here, now there's 200 units here. He retreated. But really what happened is he reinforced with 200 units, or 100 units or whatever, right? And hid 100 units here. So he didn't actually retreat, he reinforced. Very sneaky move. We've spent a bunch of time, and by the way, you can't, this is not detectable. It doesn't matter if there's very, very small ways to detect it, just in terms of how the army counts are counted, like where the rounding happens. But aside from that, it's not really detectable. Like if you are scrying or you have spirit sight scouts or like whatever, you can't get past this. So it's actually very strong. We've spent a bunch of time getting our gem and blood economy rolling, but our gold income has been flat for forever. SAR's Juicy Lands are calling us, but we need to be careful of TNN. He's had a time to rebuild after we patrolled out 100 sacreds. You did see that insane patrol, right? We saw a lot of things get patrolled out. We might have missed one. There have been a few battles we've missed this turn. And honestly, that's a consequence of not doing it from this screen. If I do it from this screen, we're not going to miss stuff. But in my opinion, it's super boring to do it from this screen. So it's the yin and the yang. And since he has been fighting Mictlan, he should be at full strength to attack into me with a ton of fancy new magic. So I'm guessing he doesn't have a non-aggression pact with the elves. All right. So I want to make a few comments first before we start looking at the action of the turn. The first is what I really like about this is I was wondering what he would do to get out of this dog pile, and this seems like a very wise move. He's essentially, this is one of the important things, I think. So when you're coalition, it's a really good idea to not get, and this I'm not great at, right? But I'm usually friendly. I do this for like a little bit, and then if everybody refuses me, I usually get tilted. But when you're getting coalitioned, it's a good idea to talk friendly with everybody, see what they want out of the war, see if there's a way y'all can give them what they want without bloodshed. The only trick to that is once they articulate what you want and you're able to give it to them, you need to get some terms yourself. And you can see how Mictlan has done this really well. He's figured out that Yomi wants a lot of land, and land is something that Mictlan right now has in abundance. So Mictlan is actually ceding not a little bit, he's ceding a ton of land to Yomi. That is going to kind of king make Yomi in a way. It's going to make Yomi like put him in one of the best positions in the game. But that's going to take heat off of Mictlan. But he's also not doing that for free. He's getting things for that. He's going to have a peace agreement with Yomi, and he's basically guaranteed that Yomi will attack TNT, which TNT is the big threat that Mictlan just doesn't really feel like they can kill. So he has paid a ton for this, right? Like he figured out. So first of all, he's probably talked to a lot of other people, and other people have said that they don't want to back out of this coalition. They're determined. They're going to hunt him down or whatever, which is good in the sense of like, you know, that's what you're going to kind of need to have an attitude like that to take Mictlan out in a situation like this. However, there's a lot to be said for getting paid off. And, it's kind of interesting. Like if you go back and watch my Bogarus game, Vanheim got paid off really cheaply, right? And I was kind of annoyed by that because, you say you're going to stay in a coalition, which, by the way, there was more of a dog pile than a coalition. Coalition's a strong word for somebody that's down on one, that only has one cap. But yeah, anyway, he got bought off really cheap. So if you get bought off really expensively, he's still helping out the coalition, right? He's still helping, to a degree, TNT and Lanka, who are fighting, and to a degree, Vanheim. But he's not fully helping them, and he's more improving his own position. And in fact, he's going to turn on the coalition in 5 turns by ending a non-aggression pact. What's really funny about this is going to be happening in the background in the game channel through the next few turns. Yomi is going to be giving Lanka the hardest time about how he won't commit any troops to fight. And meanwhile, Yomi has peaced out with Mictlan, and he's just laying into Lanka, like in the game chat, like, why haven't you attacked? Like, why aren't you doing anything? Blah, 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 blah. Just, relentless. It's like mean even. I felt bad for Lanka. He was just being kind of nasty to him. And sure enough, he's peaced out. So that's really funny. Okay, enough of this me talking. Let's go look. Let's start with Niflheim. Apparently he is a fan favorite. We call it Gulliver's Travels or something. That's what he should have named his pretender. Okay. Barb's attacking here. Is this all... We might have missed a battle. I don't know where the other Neeple Jarls are. They can't sneak. There's a lot of guys here. We might have missed a battle. Let me go back and check last turn. All right, I went and looked, and there weren't any battles where Neeple Jarls were lost in like the past 4 turns. So, not exactly sure what happened. The Neeple Jarl was here, and this army was here, and so it tried to intercept the Neeple Jarl by moving back. This is sort of the thing where you should split. Right, like if you have an army here and you're trying to intercept the Neeple Jarl, you should split this army here and here, assuming the army should be able to kill a single Neeple Jarl. I mean, is this guy fully geared? If he's fully geared, maybe you need something special you only have one of. Yeah, you should be able to kill this guy. Well, okay, he does have 165 hit points. Okay, but assuming you have a couple great swords of sharpness, or maybe you have maybe you need 4 total, I don't know. He should be able to deal with this, but he may not be able to. If you can't safely split your army, better to keep it together. But I would hope you would have an army that could kill 2. You know, you could split it and kill this guy in 2 provinces. Otherwise, don't see a ton of elf activity except a bunch of devils here, which is kind of interesting. Let's come over here and take a look at Lanka. He takes this from Mictlan. And we've got... This guy gets patrolled out by Yomi. Let's take a look at this army here. A bunch of Jaguars, which are being held back, potentially for point buffing. Yeah, he gets luck and ethereal on them with this nice wall of militia. It's got a Crystal Mage here too. Looks like he's got a Curse of Stone set up, though he's diseased. And then a bunch of turkeys back here. This army's very light on sacreds, though. There's only 3 Aussies, 12 Eagle Warriors, and some Jaguars. So very, very light on sacreds. But there are a big pile of sacreds right over here. And this is a Merc company with a tiny bit of PD behind it. So this is interesting. You'll notice the Jaguars didn't fly. He has them on attack. If you have them in a line formation and they're scripted to attack and maybe even hold an attack. Do they have to be on hold an attack? Yeah, apparently hold an attack works too. Yeah, then they won't fly. That can be nice, especially if you're integrating them in with like Jaguars, like Jaguar Warriors. You can maybe have fewer of them get separated. You're guaranteed to have them kind of hit the same thing, but you know it's a nice technique to have in your pocket. Loses 1 Eagle Warrior and 1 Jaguar. Here we've got Mictlan pinging this province to see what's here, and TNT just has the biggest army you've ever seen on top of this throne. Okay, we'll finish the Mictlan stuff here. It gets attacked by TNT with Great Hawks. Doesn't work. This, I would think, would probably work more times than it wouldn't. What really matters a lot for Great Hawks is how good your PD commander is, and this guy's not super special. The other thing that's going to matter for this province is even though it's not much PD, it's all melee, and because of that, the commander is going to be mixed in with the melee units, and that'll make a big difference. Yeah. But it was very close. But he survives, and holds off that Call the Winds attack. And let's go watch the battle in Vanheim, because I believe there's a battle on the outside of Vanheim. So he's riding out. He's got a Storm Staff, I think. Let's take a look at what he's got here. Oh, he's got a lot of guys. Storm Staff with air gems, more air gems, more air gems. Okay. Decent number of... I don't love the air gems on the guys you've kitted out to be thugs, though. think it's better to kind of pick your poison. He's got a lot of snake bladder sticks. So what I'm expecting is a bunch of air elementals. Air elementals do really well in Storm. The problem is there's a lot of magic weapons. We'll just watch and see how this goes. So he's got these guys running forward, so they're all casting Storm Power. See, what I would have preferred to have done is like these Van Herses, which otherwise are... How do they... Oh, has he done Storm Power? Yeah, I would put the air gems on these guys and let these guys do Storm Power and then... Or put the Thug gear on these guys and have them do... I don't know. Whatever. And there's not really much an Air 2 can do. Mist form, I guess, but that's not going to help a ton. Anyway, I would have them do whatever they're going to do. And then, like, have them Thug. I don't like the idea of having the air gems where you're going to fatigue this guy out. You know, casting... basically, the Thugs should not be fatiguing themselves out, is what I'm trying to say very badly. Oh, he's doing Thunder Strikes. Yeah. There's problems with this. So, who cast all the Thunder Strikes? He's making them? Did he use air? Is the plan to use air gems for Thunder Strikes? See, he did Thunder Strikes on these guys. They're already very high fatigue, though. And they're not blessed yet. I don't know what's in their bless. I would think you would want to bless them. And he summoned some air elementals, but the thing is, air elementals work in a critical mass, and he's only summoned 5. Fortunately, they've landed up here with the Vans, so they're not getting surrounded as badly. Turn team-colored squares on so we can see a bit better. Few air elementals over here. One landing here in the back. It's got a few... These guys aren't blessed, though. Dear sweet baby Jesus, please bless your units. Let me remind myself what the bless is. Yeah, you want this on your Van Heers, and they're not blessed right now. You can also communion, if you don't have a Holy 3, you can communion 3 Van Jarls together and get a small communion, enough to do Divine Blessing. Okay, they're finally getting blessed. What is going on? I feel like he summoned some air elementals, but I don't feel like he summoned a ton. Have they all spent their gems? Sadly, they have. Yeah, that was never going to work here. Could work. But you need a much stronger critical mass. Like, he would need probably 20 air elementals at like, either like 2 rounds of 10 or something. And we just don't see that many. Because they die reasonably quickly. Like, these guys aren't gonna, like, what? These guys will get knocked down pretty quickly. Like, this guy's gonna... Bloop. Yeah, he's down to size 4. Now he's gone. And these Jaguars have really good defense. And, or not really good, but pretty good defense, which means, and they have a pretty big amount of hit points for, you know, a sacred unit. So it takes a lot of trampling for them to die. So yeah. And then he's got his Mage Ball. Yeah, I mean, like, these guys who are the thugs are all fatigued out, and they're not doing their thing. And Mictlan doesn't have poison resistance. If he'd done this properly, where he had a bunch of guys summon air elementals, everybody get blessed and run in, and they, you know, he has poison resistance on his troops. And he's doing this snake bladder stick play. I mean, he would probably... Snake bladder stick's pretty strong. I don't know if 10 poison resistance would be enough, but he could probably poison everything around him, kill a bunch of these guys. Like, I could see this... I could see this working as a... With this number of units, with these items, with these number of gems, but I just don't think it was quite scripted right. But it would have been close. Like, I'm not saying it would have been like a landslide, but I bet you could have maybe finessed this into a win for Vanheim. And yep. And then Mictlan storms. So let's see if anything was left inside. A couple dwarves. These dwarves, were they not here? Man, you needed these dwarves too to do like Strength Giants, Legions of Steel. That would have been really nice to have. Then maybe some Earth Elementals. Maybe he forgot to send them? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, these would have been super helpful. Like, that would have been... He didn't even need to change the script. That was perfect. Bring them in. So yeah, I mean, I think this is actually a pretty good example of how... it's kind of interesting if you think of this from like an AI or something. You can have the right stuff. You can also be mostly casting the right spells. But still, that's a pretty big difference from really scripting everything properly. Like having like a way, like basically synchronizing all the things. Having like the right items on the right dudes rather than just having them, getting Strength of Giant, like leaving the doors behind was a mistake. Having more air elementals summoned. He's casting things like Seeking Arrow, which great, but like that wastes a lot of air gems. Get the air mages all together, summon them in one volley. You risk being gem baited and stuff, but whatever. You got a pretty low chance of winning here. If you're gonna win the game, you've got to start off with like a really decisive battle against Mictlan here. So anyway, it's just kind of interesting to me that like you can still mostly be doing most of the things right, but then still have like this crushing, resounding defeat like he had here. Like he barely killed anything. He killed 2 Priests of the High Sun, 18 Jaguars, a Rain Priest, some slaves, like almost nothing, and then loses like his whole Mage Corps, And it's like so many of the small details and how you set things up can matter. It's also possible that it was not possible for Vanheim to win this at all, even if it was perfectly scripted. I suspect they might have been able to, but it would have been a really tight but very clean technical win if they did it. But I'm suspicious it's possible. All right, so let's go see what this means. We have Mictlan taking this over, Vanheim's capital. He takes this enchanter site. And this is pretty nice. Not very special from Mictlan, since he already gets Nahuli, who are basically this, but kind of better. Then he gets this. Let me make sure I'm not misspeaking. Those were 130 gold. How much are Nahuli? 125. So yeah, they're a little cheaper, and they're way more mobile. And they have a small chance at a random. So definitely better. Unless there's some other trait on these guys. Yeah, nothing. So yeah, Nahuli are superior. And we have Vanheim marching out with now what is most of his mages. I mean, not most of his troops, but without his mages. This is, by the way, I had mentioned this before. You don't want your mages to fight separate from your army, and that's basically what this is. He has all his mages here, and he has all his troops here. And some of this was because, he like staled or whatever, or didn't break out when he should have, or thought he had taunted Mictlan into attacking the fort, whereas clearly Mictlan had a better plan. But, yeah, he, for whatever reason, we can attribute to it, he's basically allowed his Mage Corps to be defeated, in detail separated from the main part of the army. And having these guys with this army, I think it would have actually been pretty trivial. Like, you could have made a lot of mistakes in the scripting and probably still won. Especially if he got Legions of Steel, Strength of Giants off on the Van Heers. But now, I don't even know what you do. I mean, this army, without much mage support, has basically no chance of killing a scripted Mictlan army. But what do you do? I would probably just have a last glorious hurrah riding out onto the cap. Okay, so we had talked about the Mictlan and Yomi deal, and here we have 9 Dione running in, and I suspect, I'm very suspicious, that that Yomi is sharing with the coalition his advances, but failing to mention that he's made a deal with Mictlan. He's probably like, look how much work I'm doing, I'm attacking all these provinces, and I mean, it's like not this kind of normal bog standard dominions for you. But yeah, look at all the work I'm doing when really you're just taking stuff you negotiated for. Niflheim conveniently has started building a fort for Yomi to take back from him. Yeah. So I think that's what's going on over here. There's a reasonably big Oni army over here. God, these guys are going to be really good too. He's got like a ton of Ko-Oni. And these guys are really good in Chaos 3. Which I think pretty much like everybody has. Turmoil 3, Turmoil 3. Yeah, I mean, except Tiernanog and TNT, I think. Like Lanka has it, Yomi has it, Mictlan has it. And with this kind of attack density, especially when you put a strength buff on them, either Bloodlust or Strength of Giants, they get pretty nuts. Like, they get very, very killy. Okay, very cool. And yeah, we're basically waiting for this showdown between TNT and Mictlan. And over here in the Elfland, we've already looked at Agartha. So Agartha has taken this, and I believe there was some agreement made between Agartha and Mictlan that like he would get this, but then let Mictlan go fight over here. But Agartha's already shown they kind of want this. Maybe they're going to want... I think they were kind of hoping that Vanheim would give Mictlan a big black eye, and then they could come in behind and take stuff. But we'll see what they do. And I think that is it. I don't think there's too much else to report on here. Let's go ahead and go to the next turn. Actually, I think we'll end it here. I just realized we're at 26 minutes. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.